You're a fake and a phony, and I wish I never laid eyes on you.
and that is the writer's mindset.
Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages. I'm your moderator, Colleen, and today's topic, you're a fake and a phony.
Imposter syndrome.
Oh, it's the worst. It's absolutely the worst. I remember like not being able to leave my computer because I felt like if I left, Amazon was going to find out that I was just a stay-at-home mom and that I had somehow snuck into their program and was publishing, and I was going to get like an email that's like, we're sorry, your account has been canceled. We didn't mean to let you in. Sorry for your inconvenience. And that would just be the end of it. Like I was petrified that I wasn't supposed to actually be doing this.
Oh, I think I'm still fighting that they're going to find out. And I think that it comes with every why reviews or something that is so hard, because it's like somebody calling you out on your worst fears of yourself going, see, they finally found out the truth. I do suck. So
do you still read your negative reviews?
Oh, well, no, I mean, like in TikTok or something, they tag you. It's like in your face.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sometimes you can't help but get out. No, I don't purposely. I remember when I first started, God, I read every review. I mean, every single one. I was like, ooh, 30, I have 38, and now I'm like, I don't look. I haven't been on Goodreads. I think authors avoid Goodreads. Like that place is it's a bad place.
Yeah. So, I don't go on Goodreads. I don't look at reviews, but I used to, and I would scroll past all the 4 or 5 stars and I would look for the 2 stars and the 1 stars to read. And I'm like, this is just sick. Just like, why am I not enjoying at least some of my 4-star and 5-star? Because at some point, it's no longer constructive criticism. Like you write the way that you write. This is your voice, and it's not going to be for everybody. So it's not useful. It's just like is it masochists or is it sadists? Maybe we're both. I
think we're both.
I think
maybe that's why that goes into my scenes later. I'm like, yeah, tie me up and
you
tie
like
me down.
It rough.
Oh.
The way I did get over like reading my negative reviews, because I started to go to my favorite books and read their negative reviews. Like if I got in my feels about some kind of feedback, I would literally go to like a book I loved, read the negative review. And I was like, I want to fight. Like, you're wrong. Like, I love this book. I hate your opinion. And I'm like, okay, now I love my book. I'm happy with my book. Yeah. Like, and that's all that really matters.
Mm-hmm. To like new writers, I think we've all done that. We all do that to get through when we, we're still in the mode of wanting to read all our reviews and we read a bad one. I go to the top person and read all their negative reviews, not because it's like, I want to bring them down. It just was like, see, like not every book is for every person, and something I love, somebody can be like, this is garbage. So you equate it back to yourself too, but it's still so hard to let that go. And I think artists, like even in acting, in writing, I will always suffer some form of imposter syndrome that I shouldn't be here. Especially like when, readers come up to you at, these events and they're all like shaking and excited to meet you. And I'm still looking behind me going, what the hell are you excited about? I don't know who you're talking to. And it's just because I don't still believe I almost should be in the club.
Oh my goodness.
That's just, it's a natural thing.
It definitely is, but you are a nail in the club. You are analogies are not my best tonight. I've already started drinking.
Are you hammering my nail in the club?
I am. And I'm having fun doing it. No. I remember the first time I felt like I had authority. And it's so weird because there was an author who I'd read before I was writing. I loved her work that I had read. And at the time, I had just left Kindle Unlimited for Wide. And this was years ago. And I don't think that the elitism is still there from Wide authors looking down on Kindle Unlimited authors, especially with how so much has changed. But back then there was. So if you were an author in Kindle Unlimited, there were some Wide authors, and Wide authors are those who are published on like Apple and Barnes and Noble and such, who kind of looked down on you. And this author who I had respected so much made a comment about not being a real author if you're on Kindle Unlimited. Yeah. And I found myself, and I wasn't even on Kindle Unlimited anymore. I had moved, but I felt so defensive and so angry. And I felt like I had a place of authority because I was like, as a reader, as an author, like, this is bullshit. Because I knew both sides, all sides of both of those coins. And that was the first time that I was like a little chip in my imposter syndrome armor. Like it chipped away, where I was like, you will listen to me because my opinion is valid and that is bullshit. Yeah.
Oh, that's such bullshit. Even like dare think, like, there's some authors that is their, I mean, they're probably going, go ahead, criticize me where they're like counting their money.
Mm-hmm.
That's their thing. It's never worked for me. I've never felt like I got into KU and been like, oh, I'm staying forever. But it definitely works for other authors. And why wouldn't you go where it's working? That has nothing to do with your talent or anything like that. But it's so easy on this side to defend somebody else. Like I would, defend you. I would defend anybody, but when it comes to yourself, it's still so hard to sit in a chair. And there's, especially when your day, like that day is bad, like you're writing crap and it. It's so hard to like push through it, or those bad days you get a bad review, or those things that, like, a friend wanting to quit. It happens all the time. And I think it's just something, again, you just have to breathe in, breathe out, and be like, okay, but what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
Starbucks is not hiring me anymore.
So what is the biggest thing that feeds your fear? Like the monster under the bed?
That feeds the fear?
Yeah.
It's the ever-changing algorithm for me, because like we've talked about before, there is no stability, right? But for the first time in the years, well, every year I do better than my last year, but this year has felt so much more stable than all of the other years. And I'm relying a lot on my back catalog, and I'm seeing my back catalog sustain things. And I'm not feeling this pressure to write and publish. And I'm no longer like, I could just write what I want to write, and I don't feel that fire breathing down my back. But the moment an algorithm changes, whether it's Amazon, like Amazon Prime Day, or something on social media, when something changes and I don't know why things are slipping, it's like it's financial insecurity. That is the monster under my bed, because it's my income, my husband's income, my children's income, my best friend's income, like all of these people who I'm supporting. So I really would love to have as much stability as possible, but I didn't choose the industry where that would be easy. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about like business wise, that'd be my monster. If we're talking emotional wise, I'm my own monster. Like I'm my worst person to constantly, take myself out and be like, oh God, why are you doing, like, you can't do this. Just wrap it up. Call it a day. You did the good series and good job done. So like, emotionally, I'm my worst critic of that monster under the bed. But then the other thing is it's out of my control. And I think that's what's hard in this industry, is like, you can work and work and work. And in any other job, you would get that raise, or you would get that notice, where we don't. We could lose everything after all that work. It doesn't matter. Just it's not in our control. And I think that's a very scary monster in this industry.
It absolutely is. And I was just thinking, like, I know that you're going to have another amazing series. Like, I know it in my soul. I already see us clinking our champagne glasses together and toasting to your success. And that reminds me of a thought that I have sometimes when I am feeling down. An author who I absolutely loved, again, another author who I read when I was a reader, I went to an author convention, or it was also a reader one, because there was a signing at it. And I had flipped my tag over because I was a brand new baby author. It was my first year. I was meeting Mickey Miller at the signing, and we were walking around collecting books, and I went to Carly Phillips, and I was wanting to get a book signed, and I have it here. It's on my shelf right over there. And I asked her, hi, can you sign this to me? And she reached over, she grabbed my tag and she flipped it, and she said, oh, whoa, it's you. I knew that. And she signed my book. I'm so glad to have met you in the beginning of your career.
Oh my God.
Stay for me
Aw.
forever. It will stay for, I love her so much. It was like, and that is like, so when I'm having my down day, I remember that and I'm like, I cannot let Carly down. I was like, I
Oh my
will not.
God.
I can let myself down, but I cannot let her down.
Oh my God. We all need her in our life.
I know. She's an angel on earth. She is wonderful.
Carly Phillips, do you want to come on?
She would, I think she would love to come on.
I'm
I
like,
do.
"You just
I'll
want to
send
come
her
to
an
my
invite.
house and
Yeah.
sit next to me."
Give us all some encouragement.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is probably, oh, that would stick with me. Like you
It
said,
did
that would
stick
be
with
one
me.
of those like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like you said, and then you want to fight harder. Like it's just like
Mhm.
those teachers in school that you really respected. They were kind of harder on everybody, but you respected them and you're like, I'm going to get this A or whatever, I'm going to work harder. So when you have somebody like that, like I don't want to disappoint again. I don't want to be that fraud. So
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are the good moments and you don't expect that. I think that we come into this industry with so many different expectations, especially at different points in our career. And those little moments that you don't expect that keep you going, like those are little treasures.
yeah. And I think the true frauds are the ones that are cruel to people that like, oh,
Mhm.
this is your first book or you haven't even wrote a book. You shouldn't be here. Like that kind of attitude. I'm like, dude, that girl could be bypassing you in a year from now
Mhm.
while your career is filing. She's going up and you're like, so everybody that comes up to me, that's like this one girl, last girl at the last signing showed me like the map of her new book. And it was just so beautiful.
Aw.
And it was just like one of those like, oh girl, you're going
In
places.
for a
You got
ride.
this
Yeah.
down. Yeah. And it's just like, it's such a great business. And I wish it's hard not to like, there is a competition underlining, but at the same time, the more that we love each other and push each
Mhm.
other to do better, only this industry gets better.
So
Right. There's
there-
more room at the table.
Yeah.
100%. And there is a quote that I'm going to butcher again, because
Okay, you go.
you guys can't see it. If you can't see it, I'm holding a white claw, but it's something about when you go together, you go slower.
Mhm.
But what is it? And what is it? Oh my gosh. It's like, if you go by yourself, you'll go faster, but if you go together, you'll go slower, but go farther.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was like, if somebody wants to Google it, maybe we'll put it in the captions. I'm
I
like,
feel
But you get the
yeah.
meaning.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing a resurgence of support, especially with the newbies. It's less competition and more support. I work with a lot of debuts, babies. They're like little deer finding their little legs. And I actually really love working with them. And they want to support each other. And they want to, I mean, they're just, I don't know. There's
That's
something
because
about
they
the
haven't been
newbies.
backstabbed yet. That's
Right,
probably
yeah. But the
and
biggest
they'll
thing
learn.
is-
It's like,
is-
when you're a
Yeah.
teenager and you learn your best friend isn't really your best friend and things like that. But it's
But I always
Go
felt
ahead.
like they need to find their group within, because they
Right.
always a lot of times want to start reaching up for this author that's way up there and like, we're really
No.
busy. We maybe can't read or help out. Like I can't read other people's, but I found community within the people that are all starting out together as one. And a lot of times you'll find yourself years later. I mean, there's
with
like that
them.
whole, like with each other and you're all like doing well. And like, you're the oldies now, like you're the ones that are like all together in this group and became friends and helped each other. So it's always good to find that,
Your
friend group
cohort.
that you're
Mhm. Your
going up
tribe.
together.
Mhm.
And your path is going to be different. So like
Yeah.
I work with a lot of influencers and a number of them are writing. One is currently in the top 100 with her debut and she's killing
Wow.
it. And I love it. But their path is completely different from what I'm doing. Like
Right.
I could do X and they have to do X, Y, Z plus A, B, and C
Mhm.
just to get an inch towards that. And so there's only so much, like I absolutely love helping as much as I can and watching them rise and pushing them. But the paths are just so different. Like
Mhm.
every year, if you start, like it's so much more difficult now to start than it was back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
So like it's
Most
hands
definitely.
down. What is it every single day? I think it's roughly 1,000 new authors,
Yes.
not
Yes.
even new books, just new authors every single day. So the competition is just growing and growing. And now we also have AI to be
Mhm.
concerned about. which
we
is
gotta
a
do-
concern. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should
Ugh.
we could probably do a whole podcast and bring somebody on.
Mhm.
But Sean said the other day that, like, I happen to think that authors who have their brand, that we're going to be fine, that readers know who we are. They know what we write. We're going to be fine when these AI produced docs from all sorts of new pen names who nobody has any idea who they are because they aren't actually real people. It's just funding behind AI written manuscripts. Like, if there's going to be distrust among readership because they're not going to know who to trust anymore, but we'll be okay, right? But it's going to be even more difficult for new readers. But one thing that Sean said is that he thinks that there will become a program where you can say, write me a 250-page novel.
Oh yeah.
That's like the
There already
mafia
is.
romances that I like. Is there really?
There is.
Yeah, there
There's a
already is.
man that releases a new book every single day, and it's AI written.
Yeah. Oh, you
my
can, I
gosh.
mean, college students
You
can
can't
get,
copyright AI written works. There's also going to be changing. I already see there's going to be changing laws. There's already lawsuits with some celebrity just filed a lawsuit with
Mhm.
their art because they use, like, and I'm sure our works have been used to create AI programs.
oh yeah. Well, that's a good fraud though feeling. That's part of the fraud of
Yeah.
these authors, but it's going to be hard because we do not have laws set into place of these things
Correct.
that
Mhm.
are starting to write music, write thing. And I know there's a big hoopla on about artists about the like getting character,
Character art.
descriptions.
Mhm.
Put
Mhm.
character
Oh,
art.
descriptions?
Well, I mean, like you put in description, you get a character and like,
Oh,
and
and
it's
then they're
half
using
stolen. So I understand, but like there is also this opposite side where like my cover designer, she got railed because somebody is like, that's part of AI and she didn't know that. So people just before, we need a benefit of the doubt because this is so new. We're going to be finding things like this where somebody used something and didn't know it was AI because they didn't label it. And then, to tax somebody already to like,
Oh,
I
well,
just
that's,
feel like
I think, two
there's,
separate conversations also, because
Yeah.
like the jump on the bandwagon to attack somebody, it
Yeah,
seems to
yeah.
be, yeah.
Without
I'm
facts.
sure, yeah, without
Yeah.
facts, without talking, without,
Yep.
but
what's the
the
point
whole
and
AI
purpose?
thing, that could
So,
probably be its own thing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely
we'll
could. We
circle
can bring
back to
somebody
that.
on. Yeah,
It just adds to the whole like we're just out here trying to make a living and there's another thing trying to take that away from us or trying to like,
Mhm.
so it's hard.
Yeah. And so going back to expectations though, because you just said make a living, when I published my first book, I had this expectation, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, but I think a lot of people do, that it's going to become a bestseller and I'm going to make all these millions of dollars and never have to do anything else for the rest of my life. And that's like my expectation of publishing my first. And I remember I did it without knowing the romance community. I didn't I published, right? Because my husband's friend, Samir, who's godfather to my baby girl, he said, do you know about Kindle Direct Publishing? And I didn't. And he told me, and I was like, okay, let me put this up here. Right. And that was my hope, was that it would go that. And this is like a cover I made on Photoshop, not even Photoshop. I made it on Preview because Photoshop made me cry. And then I uploaded that photo into Kindle Direct Publishing and made my cover there on their platform to make a cover. It was horrible. Everything about it was horrible. And so I published it. And then I got into this subreddit about publishing at the time. And I remember asking, okay, what do I do now? And everybody commented, write another book. And it's like, yeah, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess it goes to your learning curve. It goes to your back catalog and pushing books. It goes to reaching more readers each time. It goes to having back catalog you can put on sales to reach more readers and remove barriers. And just the learning curve in general, the more you do it, the more you know, and the more you do better. So yeah.
Expectations is a funny thing. It can be a great thing and then also a hindrance, where I think I went in with that same like, I'm going to write this book and the houses are going to pick it up. They're going to love it. And I just kept getting, of course, the rejection letters. And I actually had one agent finally come back to me and say, like, I thought it was great. You have potential. We just don't know if you're going to make money. You're not a name to us. And I was like, oh, and this is right when it was like 2 years in the whole self-publishing thing. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep getting no, aren't I? So that whole idea kind of in my head of like, I was going to get a house and I was the one going to be different. Like, all these other people are getting no, but I was the one going to get in the house. And I realized like, no, I'm not. So what do I do now? And that was when I was like, you know what, I'm going to try the self-publishing. And now I can't imagine my career path. That is actually where it should have gone. Like that was perfect for me.
Everything happens for a reason. Definitely.
Yeah, but it's just that expectation in my head of like, oh, I have these grand dreams. I'm going to be the one that gets in a house. And it's great to see, to do that, to try and get those rejections. It was fabulous. And then you sit there with the whole like JK Rowling got like 12 rejections before you. It's like she got rejected too. But I think that they'll push me to know that this was what I wanted to do. And no matter what fraud I feel like at the day, I knew I was going to fight for this. Like I was going to work my butt off, whatever I had to do. Like, I was in interior design. I was doing all this acting stuff. And I was just like, I like it, I enjoy it. I really would like to do it. But this, I was willing to like, I'll bite. Like, I'm going to like, ankle biter kind of thing. Like I will go down on the ship. So that was when I knew I was like, I think I'm an author.
Yeah, definitely. I think you do have to fight to survive as a self-published author. I don't know about traditional. And whether or not they have to fight as much. That's what I was just about to say. Like, I do see a lot of competition among it, and a lot of like, because there is pressure to be in social media and there are more requirements now, even to be a traditionally published author, to do this additional work that didn't have to be done back in the day. So I do think that you need to be a fighter. You have to come ready. And a lot of times we get burnout from writing, burnout from publishing, just burnout in general.
Burnout from the instability of it, like the sense of constant change of like one day this worked and the next day it doesn't. And like last year, and you don't know where to go. And some days you're just, and you got that one more negative review and you're like, I'm done. Emotionally, I'm done. But most of the time, all I have to do is just take a walk, take a day. And my brain's already starting to go through a story. And I'm like, okay, I'm not done. Damn it. So it's a constant fight. Like this isn't for the, I know a lot of people like you hear, and a lot of authors will say they hear this too, is like everybody you come in contact is like, oh, you're an author. Oh, I was thinking about becoming an author. Oh, I hate to think, and I'm like, if this isn't like just a job that like, and again, your expectations of where you want your career. I wanted this as a career, but if you just enjoy writing, everybody can do that. Like, absolutely. And you can be really good at it. And if you don't mind, like that's your path, that's fine. But I think a lot of people want to, think that they're going to walk in and all of a sudden like, oh, this is how I'm going to make easy money. I'm like, nothing about this is easy. Nothing.
Yeah. Literally nothing about it. Yeah. And as soon as you think you have it figured out and you finally are going to be fine, everything changes.
Yeah. And
so
then the fraud thing fits back in again. You're like, damn it.
So you made me think of a question when you were talking about Carly Phillips, and we're talking about feeding the fear. But and you don't have to name names or anything, but was there a time where someone unintentionally or intentionally helped ease your fear? Like
Carly did?
Yeah.
Oh, like all the time.
I think every day somehow
I agree.
Somebody, even if it's reading another author, knowing that they're going through the same thing. I think sometimes it's just knowing that like, I'm not alone. And I think in this business, when we sit by ourselves a lot and in our heads a lot, and hearing that negative, person in our heads a lot, to know that we're not alone, I think can also be like, oh my God. Okay. And there's a community out there and there's friends out there. And so I think every day I'm inspired.
100% the same. And it can even just be like I'm working right now nonstop. My head is down. I'm not talking to a lot of people. So even just like an author I haven't heard from for a while, just commenting on a TikTok, oh my God, that's so awesome. And I'm like, oh, I still like you. You still like me. That's great.
You like me. You really like me.
Literally. Yeah. Like, or like Audrey Carlin just bought a box from me the other day. And she put it in her comments and I was like, is this Audrey Carlin? And she literally put Audrey Carlin Inc. And then she's like, tag me on TikTok. And I was like, okay. Yeah. Like, it's just fun. Like from like those reminders of the community and of the fun aspects and of like, oh yeah, like it's like I haven't seen you in 2 years, or I haven't talked to you in 6 months, or like just like all those little reconnections, or even with readers. Like there's one reader
readers,
named
yeah.
Sharon. She orders stuff from me all the time, and every time I see her name, I'm like, oh, it's Sharon. Like,
Yeah, I think readers, I mean, that's your number one thing, because they'll like it could be, you could be in the worst mood and all of a sudden somebody will tag you and just be like, and it could be not even really related. They're like, oh, Stacey, I thought of you, like, especially Jason Momoa things or whatever it is. And it's just like, oh my God, to know, like, I was in somebody's thoughts, or like, like, oh, I can't, it's just this inspiration of like, there's the love out there, the community. Readers can always make you feel better, because sometimes you don't think your work is that great. And they'll be like, this made my day. This was so there is an endless stream of that, the positive of this, like, the negative, like, can nip at you and eat at you. And again, I'm my own worst enemy, but then the other, it will flip over easily onto like the stream of love out there. And an event, I go to one event and I'm like, I'm warm and toasty. I'm so warm and toasty now.
exactly. And it's just like the reviews. Like for every 100 reviews, I will scroll to see those 2 negatives, or at least I used to. And that's kind of how like the negative in the community can be, or in the industry, or just in work in general. Those little things can really prick at your sides, but it is, I think, so much more good than bad. And it's more about a mindset change and understanding that some things aren't for you, just like your book isn't for everybody, and focusing on those positives and putting your energy into that, to help propel you forward, and to get rid of those negativities and that fraud aspect, and just kick ass.
Yeah, because after 10 years, I'm like, I've had to get rid of, I mean, like at the beginning, it's harder. Like you have to learn what you're like, and to learn how you function through those, and to realize, why am I reading these? Why am I putting myself through this? And they're not, like you said, this is not criticism that's helping me in any way. I mean, there was a few reviews I remember when I first started that I was like, oh, maybe they're right. And it, made me think, and, I adjusted my writing, but most of them are kind of cruel. So it's like, this isn't helpful. So I'm going to take what's helpful. And all the people that are loving this, I'm going to appreciate, like, I'm going to not stop, because I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it and it just keeps, you just have to fight against that. But I think after 10 years, you've learned kind of like where not to go, like, don't go to Goodreads.
Yes.
Don't go to, and don't go searching for it. Cause I feel like a lot of times we almost love to, like, again, that masochistic, like don't go search for it. Just, especially if you're feeling a little fragile that day or something like that, don't go out looking for it, because you'll find it. That's the problem.
100% you will.
So, but it's just, but I just hate when it's like, you're already in a fragile mood and it's tagged, like you're not looking for it, and it's in your face, and you're like, okay, ow, okay, breathe, ow, but again, there's nothing else I could do. So I just,
you're just trying to exist, and they're like shoving it in your face.
Yeah, that's one thing with the arts, is you can never get away with somebody else's opinion of your, and it, and it's like, this is like, not just like a book to us. This was like, you just ripped out my soul. And like, or people are like, oh, who's your favorite book? I'm like, you're asking what my favorite kid is. Like I can't pick, like, I love whoever I'm writing, or, so yeah, like go on. Yeah. Lost my train of thought.
I'll cheers to that. Yeah. I think now my expectations within the business have changed in terms of like what I expect from new releases, and what I expect from pretty much like not all aspects of it, but so much of it. Like I know where my steady parts are, and I know that that's none of them. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Like,
I know that's just the people. Yeah. I'm like, all the people are going to be here. Well, not all, that's not even true. My goodness. Like literally, but it's just night and day from where I used to be and what I used to think to now. And I think it's just a learning experience. You just need to go through it to understand that the industry really is so very different on the inside than what it looks like on the outside.
I think that's a lot of industries though. I mean, like acting is like the biggest one. Like when I'm like, you guys have no idea. It looks all like glamorous and beautiful. And most of it was just, totally different on the inside.
I think people would say that about us also.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
probably not me right now because I'm in my PJs and I look like a mess and my light isn't working. But
I like
But
have
that
dog
shows that
drool
you're
on my-
real.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
have
it's
dog
not
hair
just
covering my
like-
legs and
Yeah.
yeah.
well, let's cheers to that and, follow for more. We're looking forward to the next one with you guys.
You know,
Yeah.
you want to hear more from us, less from us.
That's perfect.
Your
You should-
girls and scene.
Yeah.
Thank you.